futures, and I urge you to consider the overwhelming demand and explore opportunities to expand its reach and funding, ensuring that more eligible students can benefit from its crucial support. My story, though still unfolding, is a testament to its profound impact, and I know countless others could thrive with the same opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the Higher Education Committee. I'm Peter DeChilli Jr., an academic advisor at Baruch College and advisor to reconnect students like Jacqueline George.
So can you just speak into the microphone?
Oh, certainly.
It's on. And just,
oh, yeah. There we go.
You can move the mic. You don't have to move your chair. Yeah,
better?
there
okay.
you go.
There we go. All right. I appreciate this opportunity to be here today and attest to the academic and financial support that Reconnect brings to students. Though we strive to have the pursuit of a college degree a focused goal, many factors, supporting a family, employment, rents and the cost of living, then placing tuition on top of it all, it's not surprising. Their degree has not disappeared from their life goals, and from the responses we have had, our outreach was the catalyst for returning, and the benefits are what bring them to completion. With over 230,000 students in CUNY colleges, there is a fear of getting lost in the mix, and if you take even one semester off for any reason, you fall through the cracks. I incorporate into my daily goal and advisement that every student knows their individual goals are shared, that I will meet them wherever they are and see them through to graduation. But what about when that support isn't enough to prevent those pauses? Two factors I see every day are academic and financial. They are the bases for decision-making in the best of times and deal breakers in the uncertain ones. During our first Reconnect meetings in 2023, Jacqueline and I reviewed new requirements for an updated curriculum, a potential factor in discouraging anyone's return. However, Jacqueline's approach in navigating this with her other responsibilities was intentional and successful. As she progressed, subsequent conversations shifted to the intangibles, overall and major GPAs, course outcome planning, and throughout, knowing advisors were there for an answer or clarity at any level. When reconnecting, students bring their real-world strengths, time management and patience. Reconnect students understand measured course schedules. Many times they change their original major, their jobs being the foundation of their career, with the degree being the supplement to that next level. There's a seasoned stakeholding in what they bring to and expect from their academics. But most of all, they bring a newfound appreciation and love. They join clubs, and collaborate on initiatives, and embrace their Bearcat pride, with that enthusiasm towards their traditional classmates reciprocated. These are the tenets of Reconnect students: resilience, grit, the ability to make experience-based decisions, and finding solutions to inhibiting factors towards their academic pursuits. As I've alluded to, though, academic obstacles are a direct line to financial contexts, which are themselves aligned with academic timelines and curricular guidelines. If there's an issue with completing even just one prerequisite course at or by a certain time, that likely prevents getting a full-time schedule the next semester, compounded by no longer qualifying for state, federal aid, or scholarships, spiraling further towards a bursar hold, not being able to pay that existing balance, and the specter of incurring that debt right back the next semester becomes the breaking point. I have a quote from writer Henry Wheeler Shaw: "Debt is like any other trap, easy enough to get into, but hard enough to get out of." Having completion and forgiveness grants is vital to lifting that burden, breaking that spiral, so that students can focus on their coursework while planning with renewed vigor the next and final steps to their degree. These grants, aligned with Reconnect as a whole, together create direct, impactful solutions of academic and financial support for those at risk. With students who recognize and value this outreach, the opportunity, the sincerity and backing we have to their goal. With each student we bring back and see off with a degree in hand, we increase the reputation of the impact of the CUNY education into the workforce and community. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I get confused every time I hear the Baruch, about the Baruch mascot, the Bearcat, because in addition to being a CUNY alum, I'm a SUNY Binghamton alum, and our mascot was the Bearcats. And I said, I think we're at the wrong hearing. And so thank you for your testimony. And Ms. Higginson George, I gotta say, I have kids. The idea of going to school, like now, to begin with, is daunting, let alone getting a 4.0 GPA. So amazing, amazing. Thank you, thank you. So it sounds, based on the testimony, it sounds like we all agree that the fee waivers and the MetroCards and paying the unpaid balances would have a significantly positive impact on our students. So I think we all agree there. So let's talk just in a little bit of detail. Just to make sure our numbers align, Ms. Sarmiento, you said 8.2 thousand students have debts of 2,000 or less. That's current students?
Yes.
And do you know how many have debts of 1,000 or less?
Do we have that data? Yeah, we only ran it with 2,000, only because when we looked at the major balances, that seemed to be the one that would hit the most students.
Okay, so
So we could run it at 1,000 if.
okay, and I'm interested because that was the CUF report was recommendation, interested to be talking sort of in the same language, and also the numbers are helpful. I mean, so we're talking $17.4 million. If every student had the $2,000, now some of those would be less, right? Do you have the cost of what would it be to pay off all the debts of kids with, or students rather, with of debts of $2,000 or less?
Have the number of students, which is over 7,000, but we could get the total.
I think these numbers are important, having a robust conversation about like what it would take, what does it look like to fund any initiative like this. So I would hope during are those numbers we can find during the hearing? Yes, okay, because that allows us to have the real conversation about what it looks like, what does it actually look like on the ground, to say, let's make sure every kid who owes 1,000 or less isn't prevented, 2,000 or less.
Just to clarify.
And is your mic on?
Just to clarify,
Great.
that the data that you want are for students that are currently enrolled now and
Yes.
not past debt.
Okay,
Is
good.
that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then, but separately, I assume you have past debts of other former students? I'll just assume you have that. But we've spoken about three things. Administratively, for the administrative offices, forgetting about numbers, which of these three do you think would probably be the easiest to administer?
Between the MetroCards,
MetroCards, the fee
waivers.
waivers, and the unpaid balances.
we have a mechanism now that's automatic for the fee waivers.
Okay.
So that is ongoing. In terms of the MetroCards, that is something that some of our other special programs, like in Seek and CD, have. So there's a vehicle there. And unpaid balances, we also have a mechanism to do that and to scale pretty quickly, because we did that during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So none of these initiatives are administratively challenging. It sounds like the question is, where is the amount of money and the impact? Is that right?
Any administrative costs that CUNY has to bear to administer the programs is well worth the investment of getting these students across. So we have a model to do it, and if we did it to scale, I think we're ready to do that.
Yeah, and I always point out, when we use the word cost, we really mean investment, because as you pointed out in your testimony, when we provide the supports so students can get an education, fewer students are on public assistance, they're doing better for themselves and their families, and they're contributing more to the economy. So these really are investments. And so since they're all easy to implement, there wouldn't be significant challenges to implementing any of these three initiatives? No. Okay. And if I know student debt is upsetting, and students not getting into school is upsetting. I get it. For those watching at home and can only hear my voice, we have an 11-month-old here who these hearings are very interesting and important, and this child cares about his future, as do we all. Can you imagine doing any or all of these three initiatives for the 25-26 school year?
We're doing the fee waivers now for the 25-26 school year
For who?
for all NYCPS students. We did the fee waiver in November and gave waivers to not only the New York City Public Schools, but also throughout New York State.
And what was the investment in that? What was the financial investment in that program?
This is actually the second year. You know that? Me too. For 94,000 applicants for freshmen was $6.1 million.
And that's what you did this November?
Yes.
And then
if-
you also did it last year?
Yes.
And then when you did these programs, how did that impact the number of students who applied to CUNY?
So the first year, we got a 386% increase in applications. And this year we got 13%. Now, we were really hoping to be able to have a marked difference in enrollment, but as you know, that was the year in which the FAFSA had some challenges and affected our new student enrollment. The impetus behind the fee waivers is so that students could act early enough and to be able to get to their college of choice. Previous to now they get their response in November and December, which allows them to apply for financial aid and be ready. So we consider this not only a benefit for students to be able to know more about the college process and select, but also better be prepared for their studies in the fall.
Good. And how much is CUNY requesting from the administration for fee waivers for the upcoming fiscal year?
If we were to only do freshmen, it would be 6.1. If we did transfer, it would be 3.4, and I could get these numbers to you.
Well, 3.4 additional
Yes.
for transfer. Okay.
And if we did graduate, it would be a little over $500,000 for a total, if we did fee waivers across the board for every student, transfer, freshman, and graduate of $10 million.
$10 million to allow kids to apply to college doesn't seem that bad to me.
It doesn't, and like you said, it's the investment.
It is an investment. And the same question for CUNY Reconnect. How much did CUNY request from the administration to baseline, as you requested, baseline CUNY Reconnect, which it should be baseline?
Yeah, we asked for a total of 8.8 million with the 5.9 restoration and the 2.9 enhancement. We understand that the council may be adding more if we were to implement the Fresh Start and pay off balances over or at $1,000 or less.
Mm-hmm. So about the application fee, okay? Ideally, receiving a waiver for an application fee would not add a task for high school students when submitting an application, because that risks the students now knowing how to use the waiver, thus deterring a student from completing the application. The same administrative roadblock can be true for high school counselors who are juggling a lot of waivers for a lot of students in public high schools. So what's the process for a student using a CUNY fee waiver now, and can it be streamlined to ensure that more students use it?
Since the fee waiver began 2 years ago, we've worked to implement and streamline that. So a counselor could go on a counselor portal and hit fee waiver, and it would automatically be granted. For students who apply to the program, they would ask for a waiver. The counselor would say yes. So all of that has been automated. Previous to that, they had long sheets and checked off, and they had vouchers they had to carry, and all of that has been automated.
Good. Who likes paper? I mean, you
No
do.
one
You're
does.
in that
Certainly
binder,
not
but
the trees. Yeah.
I always find it interesting. We talk about all this technology, and everyone who comes to testify brings these thick binders. I happen to like paper, as you could tell. It's very interesting. So just going back to Fresh Start for a moment, I asked how many students currently have these balances, and I know you're getting back to me with other numbers. How have you calculated year after year how many students actually stop taking classes due to these unpaid balances?
We have not. You mean at the undergrad or at
Let's
all
talk
levels?
undergrad.
We have not, but we could get you that. So the number that stop out because of balances, or
How many people can't apply for classes who would have otherwise been applying for classes because they have a balance and have now left CUNY because they have a balance?
in the 2025 financial aid year, 13,687 students had balances and were unable to enroll.
What? $13,687 in the single year were unable to enroll because of balances. Let me ask you, what's the lowest?
Student to enroll. So none of them are at $5, the small amounts, and each college sets their own limit.
3,687.
13,000.
13, sorry, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me with the higher number. That's very good. Very good. 13,687. Wow.
It's also important to note that these are the very students that we are reaching back out with the Reconnect program, who are helping students, like the student that we have here, pay off balances and come back to school.
Has there been consideration or request to, within the Reconnect program, instead of waiting for someone to drop out of school, have there been discussions about utilizing some of that to make sure they don't leave in the first place, or utilizing some of the ASAP money to target the students, to recognize that if they have a balance of $600 and they can't pay that, there are probably other needs, and they probably need those wraparound services? Like, what does it look like when it comes across someone's desk? Someone has $600 balance, they're going to drop out. What kind of phone call, what kind of outreach does that student get?
The individual campaigns for the colleges are all different, but what I could say at the system level is that we're looking at predictive analytics and using artificial intelligence to let us know whether or not a student is in trouble. We have adopted technology for early alerts, and what we need to do is do a better job of getting to students before they actually drop out. It's been one of the tenements of CUNY Uplifting New York, is to be able to do that type of work to scale, because right now the colleges are doing it on their own, and what we want to be able to do is provide a playbook.
Okay, I have some questions about those analytics, but I want to turn it over now to Councilmember Brewer.
I just have one question, then maybe come later. I'm losing my voice, I'm sorry. The 13,687, do you know how many of them have already been contacted by Reconnect, or is this a group that has not been contacted at all?
This is for the 24-25 school year, so most, if they stopped out In the 24, they have already been contacted.
They've already been contacted. So this group has already been contacted, probably by Reconnect, and they haven't reconnected yet.
They haven't, and the students that we contact on a regular basis, sometimes it takes a year for them to get to a situation where they could enroll, and so most of the contact is ongoing.
Jackie's one.
And Jackie's one of them. How long did,
I actually had.
Please make sure you're speaking into the microphone and that the red light is on.
Yes, I was one of the students. I was actually in the middle of my semester at Baruch. I had a summer balance of $998, which was going to prevent me from enrolling for the fall semester, and didn't know how I was going to pay that, but you know, I'm in the middle of classes and I get an email from the Reconnect program saying, hey, we realize that you have an outstanding balance. We know that registration is going on. Please reach out to us. We have a grant for you.
So the 13,000 have gotten a similar contact email to the student.
yeah, over 50% of the Reconnect money goes directly to the colleges in support of retention and finishing. So the money's distributed to them, and they have lists of students who have balances, and they're addressed before they even register.
Okay, because it's a large number, but it seems to me that if people aren't responding like you did, they have other things going on in their life, and it's hard to respond. But so you'd have to do more of a wraparound, like the chair said, in order to get them to come back.
It's also twofold in that in the current semester, as the student is going through and has an existing balance that prevents them from registering during open enrollment time, we do have the Reconnect teams at the colleges that will reach out to use Reconnect completion grant within the semester to remove the ability of the hold. So oftentimes we're not adding to that 13,000. That number is actually being reduced. As the numbers were higher in previous years, it's actually reducing because we're using the funds while they're actively enrolled to be able to allow them to register for the forthcoming term.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing everything you can. Is there some other support that you would need for this number? Because you're doing a lot.
Metro cards, free waivers, and the Qs. The wraparound services we're working on, but the direct financial support to students, to them is priceless. So I think that would go a long way in helping the adult students, but Fresh Start could have an impact on all students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brewer. So to clarify, you are using some of the Reconnect grant to prevent students from dropping out because of unpaid balances, and still 13,687 students. To what degree is the ASAP program help with unpaid balances?
Well, that particular program, if there's any gap funding, it's covered. Books are covered, Metro cards are supplied. It is the model that we're discussing here, but scaling it to 200,000 students.
And you requested ASAP for all to the administration? And part-time, CUNY Flex at part-time ASAP?
Yes.
And what's the price tag on that you requested from the administration?
Do we know? Let me get back to you on that.
It's budget season, everyone. Let's, we're trying to work together to make sure our students, the faculty have what they need to support the students. And we want to make sure we're partners in that. To do that, we need to know. I want to talk about
I've been told at the very least we are asking for $4.5 million as a restoration for the ASAP program. And we'll get you more details.
Okay, thank you. I want to talk about the Metro cards for a second, because you just mentioned now a number of times, and I think it was in 2 of your testimonies, how critical these Metro cards are. Do you have a price tag for what it would be to have every student have a MetroCard or OmniCard, but no tokens? The students in the back said again, what's a token? I'll give you my number later and you can put it in your Rolodex and call me on your rotary phones.
One quick calculation.
Okay.
Metro cards for all students is 323 million.
Correct.
Your advisors in the ASAP program leveraging programs like Fair Fares, where the City Council already invests millions and millions of dollars. Given that I think 55% of your students are living at or below the poverty line, to what degree are your counselors and ASAP advisors leveraging Fair Fares to provide students at the very least with low-cost Metro cards?
It is one of the major draws for students into the ASAP program. So as a condition of them registering and meeting with their advisor, it's when they get those cards to be able to travel back and forth to school. So it is part of the fabric of the ongoing retention program for ASAP to be able to not only with the provide support for transportation, but books and supplies.
Right, I understand. So I'm going to be a little more clear. The ASAP program provides Metro cards for students. For the students, whether or not they're in ASAP, if they're not in the program, if they're part-time, to what degree are the faculty at the school leveraging some of the other programs we have and that we in the City Council have funded, like Fair Fares, which provides half-fare Metro cards to people? I think we're trying to expand it to 145% of the poverty line. Or maybe it's at 145% and we're trying to bring it up to 200. Either way, it is a program that can help a number of students. Are your faculty members helping students at least enroll in that program?
So currently at CUNY, we have CUNY Edge that supports students that are on public assistance. And so those students also overlap in terms of the income levels for Fair Fares and are being reviewed and assisted at that level. Whether it goes beyond that, then it may go to the academic programs such as CD Seek or with CUNY ASAP ACE. That also builds it into their programs, whereas Edge is actually ushering the students towards the application process separately. But that is outreaching to students that are on public assistance primarily.
Okay. So can you talk more about some of the targeted student groups that receive this support? So for example, let's just talk about the Metro cards. Let's talk about $323 million for every single student for a full fare Metro card. If you said, all right, we can't do $323 million, but we really want to target this particular group, what student populations would you choose for free Metro cards if you could not offer it to all students?
If we had to are you looking at something?
That's the right word, prioritize.
All the students. These are your populations, Pell.
65% of our student population at the undergrad level receive Pell. So these are students who are at an income level that we're if we had to prioritize them, excluding the ones in already special populations, that would be what we would target. So that would be adult students, freshman students, but would target the ones who need it the most income-wise.
Okay. So you mentioned some ASAP, CUNY Edge. Can you talk about some of the programs CUNY has to help people who are either on federal assistance, people below the poverty level, or people with small financial struggles currently enrolled at CUNY?
So we do have a program called CUNY Cares. It's launched in the Bronx. You may be familiar with it. And what we do is we provide food vouchers for students and their families. And in the Bronx, we serve the borough. Each college has a food pantry to be able to help with students. There also are at the various campus emergency funds if they've depleted their Reconnect funds to be able to help them. We have also worked with the bursar's office that if a student does have a balance and they're unable to pay or have exhausted their Reconnect funds, that there are more flexible payment plans for them to be able to still continue school while they're paying off in a monthly payments.
Is that for only students in the CUNY Cares program or for all students?
For all students.
Except for the 13,687 students
Well,
who didn't come.
they may not be in a position to afford to even pay those payments. The payments could go on for a full 12-month period, where before it used to be 3.5 a full semester. That allowed the student to have those payments much lower. But when they accrue those types of balances, some of them are unable to even meet that, and some exhaust their cap.
So what would be your next steps in considering the implementation of each of these three ideas?
So the fee waivers would be an easy lift for us because we have the mechanism already to do that. We would be working with our Office of Budget and Finance to be able to distribute those, the transportation cards based on any type of criteria depending on how much we get and prioritizing accordingly. So that is and then the Fresh Start, it will complement Reconnect because that's what we currently do now, is to pay off balances. So probably the one that would be the most challenging, but not insurmountable, is the transportation. Because we currently do this for a small subset of students in ACE and ASAP, and we just need to scale that model up.
Are you suggesting that, I mean, we allocate funds, let's say, in the budget, right? Any funding that goes towards Fresh Start would just be folded in to Reconnect? Is that kind of your vision for how that would work?
I think they complement one another because the new program doesn't have the age limitation. So what we would do is target the students that are not in that 25 to 55 so that we could reach as many students as we can.
I want to turn it back to Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you. Just quickly, on the Metro card, that would be to go home and to come to school, so it'll be round trip. How many trips are we getting on the Metro card?
It's the full 34 unlimited ride that covers the whole week, so it would cover 7 days for students who have weekend classes or study periods.
So it's like you can go back and forth for 7 days?
Yes.
Okay. And the other question I have is, does it make more sense to push the half fare? I don't think a lot of people know about it. It's not that your students are unlike the general public, because not a lot of people are signing up for it. It's not fully utilized by those who could be using it. So I just think that that would be something to push more, suggestion. I'm also just one small little issue is childcare as a barrier. Is that something that we're both fixated on 13,687, but is there something that is also a barrier, lack of childcare?
So at CUNY, we have childcare centers distributed.
No, I know you do, but they're often booked. That's what I was asking.
We're actively doing some recruitment with our childcare centers to build enrollment, not only on the academic side to get students into the colleges, but also working with them to bridge the childcare knowledge and make sure that they're aware that the childcare centers exist, and doing some direct recruitment at the colleges, as well as a university-based fair that is planned for the fall.
So you don't find it's a barrier then?
No, not unless the childcare center particularly is full of that age group, but I don't believe it to be a barrier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And again, to repeat what Councilmember Brewer and I have both said, the Fair Fares program, it just sounds like a lot of students who may not be in CUNY Edge, who may not be in ASAP, who may not be in any of your 1,000 other programs can still benefit from this program if only given the guidance. And so this has been a discussion before on this committee during the ASAP hearing about folding that program in and making sure administrators are in fact and advisors are in fact trained on it. Because in lieu of the ability to provide free MetroCards, which all students should have, we are funding this program, which can help the majority of CUNY students. Something I said in my opening, for us, maybe $65 may not be that big a deal, but for our students, it is. And can you talk about the ways in which you collect data and on their financial needs, and if you've collected any data on these specific proposals?
Data.
And by the way, I asked that question in front of the queen of data. I don't know if you know this, she invented data in New York City. I think you just got to be sworn in if you're going to say something. Okay, please raise your right hand.
Ex-employees don't need to be sworn in, but
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do, sir.
Yeah. Okay, come on up, Jeff. And make sure and just say your name for the record.
Yes. So I didn't really want to do this, but I think I need to because I don't think Renee is well versed in this, and she probably doesn't feel comfortable talking about it. And honestly, I'm not an expert on it either, but I do know some stuff because I try to help navigate the system, right? So, and honestly, I've been texting. I'm not sure what was exactly said, but I'm gonna share what I know, and we could talk more about it, and go through things. So our interim provost has been very involved, Alicia Avero, who testified in front of
Last month, yes.
Right. So she's been very involved talking with MTA and with HRA about fair fares and about trying to use unused Metro cards for ASAP students for other students. Like, we're paying for it anyway as part of this program, so why shouldn't we be utilizing it for students that have the need and actually would qualify under fair fares, guidelines? It's been sometimes the bureaucracy in the city, believe it or not, and it's been hard to navigate that bureaucracy. So, it is something that we'd love to do, and we'd actually love assistance to do it, and we could have a meeting on it and talk more about it. But I know, talking to our provost, she has been working on this for a while, and we try to tackle it a few times, and it's a beast of an issue to tackle. But obviously a lot of our students would qualify for fair fares, but like others that don't use it, they don't want to sign up for it because it's onerous to go through the process to be able to get fair fares.
Right, and that's where I think even some might say that about signing up for courses in college. It could be very onerous, and that's the value of something like an advisor, which is why in past budgets we've pushed for funding for more advisors.
Right.
And so just like advisors help students apply for classes, or counselors help students apply for classes, couldn't they be trained to help students apply for fair fares, right? As sort of a step to get to free MetroCards for all.
I hear you. I agree. But if we have any money for advisors, we're going to use it for academics, not for MetroCards, right? And we don't have enough advisors to really serve all our students to begin with. So there's long lines, and I'll leave it to the people that actually You know, I'm the government guy, right? So what do I know? But the bottom line is, believe me, we would love more advisors to specialize in this and to help with this. But we'd love to have a deeper conversation off the record about, you know, what we've done so far and how we could use your help in unraveling the bureaucracy.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're sort of here at the hearing to talk about those things. But I think the important thing a lot of us recognize is, yes, the advisors are there for academics, and I don't want to assign work or roles not knowing whatever their titles are, but it would behoove the institution, it would behoove our city to see if the people who are already there, the people who are already supporting our students, if they can recognize what we all recognize at every hearing, which is the value of CUNY and the needs of our students aren't just within the four walls of the classroom. It's all of the things outside. And if it weren't, we wouldn't have 13,687 students not returning for unpaid balances. We wouldn't have students dropping out because they couldn't afford a MetroCard. Things we all recognize. Things
Right. Well,
things we all recognize, as our lovely person testifying has said. Like this Reconnect funding made it so that she can get that 4.0 GPA and get that degree.
Well, Vice Chancellor Sarmiento only talks to me because we get Reconnect funding. Anyway, a little side joke. But you know, we have our USS chair and our USS, our government, our University Student Senate. They're going to be testifying, and they've been pushing the MetroCard issue, and we will include it on our green sheet, which will be coming out after the mayor releases his executive budget, with some of the items you're discussing today, like fee waivers and Reconnect, right, which you've included in your response, as well as the Speaker's State of the City. It was mentioned, you know, and they've been pushing this for a while, our Student Senate, and we asked for the state for money and the city for money for this program. They'll be able to talk more about what their request is and what they're looking for.
See, students, the power of advocacy. Thumbs up. All right. So this actually leads to the previous question, which is, in what ways are you soliciting? Thank you, Mr. Rodas. In what ways are you soliciting feedback from students? In what ways are you collecting data from students to inform your decisions about which of these initiatives should or can?
The surveys that we've conducted in terms of retention have been more school-based than anything else. So when Zalika works with the individual colleges about where Reconnect funds should go or where their students are dropping out, it's from the colleges that get feedback directly from the students because they're the ones calling them. We have not, as of yet, directly contacted the students who have separated, because the times in which we have done that, the response to those surveys are very poor. But to address your questions regarding the MetroCard, I see this as an opportunity and would very much like to come back and give you some data on the increase of the MetroCard usage by incorporating that into our bridge program. It doesn't have to be academic advisors. It could be students talking to students, because currently we have over 200 students helping students with the FAFSA. So you could imagine if they just took one more step in applying for MetroCard assistance, it might be the game changer. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and maybe the focal point would be them as they come in, just like the FAFSA. Once they do it once, they're able to do it again to be able to start that ball rolling and get that number up.
Yes, and again, ideally it's free MetroCards.
Correct.
But again, the city council funds programs to at the bare minimum reduce the cost of MetroCards. And if it's not advisors, student ambassadors, I think could be, it's a game changer for a lot of our students. Councilmember Brewer?
I just want to say one thing. I know a lot of young people taking the GED program, Department of Education. They all get half-fare cards. And I know too many of them. Some of them okay, some of them not. If they can figure it out, definitely your students can figure it out. Thank you.
Okay. I just have two more questions, just following on the collecting data. You conduct student surveys every year for current students?
I believe it is, Michael, I think it's every 2 years.
Student surveys.
Student surveys. Student experience survey every 2 years, correct? Every 2 years.
And in that student experience survey, are you asking questions about costs, fee waivers, Metro cards, and small amounts owed to CUNY? Are any of those data points collected?
Those are nationally normed surveys, and so they ask about concerns, but not specifically regarding Metro cards and so forth. It talks about their evaluation of academic support, their ability to have a sense of belonging, and things that might be barriers, but not specifically. The last time I saw the survey asked about money.
But you don't, you said they are national surveys, so you were sort of given the questions to ask. You don't have any CUNY specific surveys? You raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
So
Your name for the record.
my name is Michael Shields. So we ask,
Please state your name for the record.
my name is Michael Shields.
Thank you.
We ask questions about some barriers. So for example, we ask about food pantries. We ask about, I don't think we ask about Metro cards. We do ask about like use of computer labs, if they have broadband access at home, if they have laptops at home, things like that. But just like Renee said, I'm pretty sure we haven't asked specifically about like, Metro cards or specifically about, fee waivers, things like that.
And this, by the way, the topic of data and student experience has come up in previous hearings. Maybe not with this panel, maybe not with you two, but it has come up. And I think hearing directly from the very students we serve is a really critical component to informing the work and informing our priorities. And it is wonderful that the Student Senate has made their voices heard by coming to these hearings, having the meetings with you, and that their priorities are on your green sheets, the sheets of things you want funded. But of course, there's more that could be done to hear from students. And so I would certainly encourage you to be collecting a little more data from them, to hear from them. And what help can we in the City Council be in making sure that these three ideas are implemented?
The support in being able to fund those three initiatives would be a significant advantage to the students. If we are able to do this, I would hope, Chair Dinowitz, that you would have us come back and say, we want to hear the data. We want to hear the increase in retention. We want to hear the amount that's graduated. And so I'm hoping you hold us accountable through data to demonstrate that if the investment is made, that it be a solid investment in New York City.
Yeah, and it's sort of a little depressing that we have to fight for funding for programs that we know actually work. I would love to have you back to tout the success of programs, even though we've had you here touting the success of the ASAP program, which answers the question of what happens when we provide students with Metro cards and support. The question of CUNY Reconnect, what happens when we provide students with the support, financial or otherwise, they need. They come back, they get their degree, and they get those 4.0 GPAs. And so I would love for you to come back. I would love to tell a story of what happens when the federal, state, and city government actually make the real investments that we know work, that we know lift people out of poverty, lift up families, lifted up my family, my parents' family, lift up yours, lift up so many New Yorkers, and also do better for the economy of New York City while we're at it. So would certainly love to have you back to tell the story of the data, and I look forward to continuing to fight for CUNY in our city budget to make those smart and morally just investments. I want to thank each and every one of you for your testimony today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be calling up the next panel in a moment. Okay, for our next panel, I'd like to call up our special guest. From the Center for an Urban Future, Eli Dvorkin. When you are ready, you may begin. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Chair Jenowitz. My name is Eli Dvorkin. I'm the Editorial and Policy Director at the Center for an Urban Future. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today. CUNY is already New York City's most powerful engine of economic mobility, but with the right investments, it can help thousands more New Yorkers earn a college credential and move into the middle class. One of the best recent examples is CUNY Reconnect, which has already helped more than 47,000 New Yorkers, the majority of whom are women and people of color, return to CUNY and resume their education, with over 8,500 students earning a credential so far, about half of those bachelor's degrees. That is an incredible achievement. But there's still a long way to go. More than 640,000 working age New Yorkers today have some college credits but no degree. Our research shows that one of the biggest barriers preventing more New Yorkers from re-enrolling is unpaid balances, often less than $1,000. Even small debts can block students from coming back or cause them to stop out before finishing. As one nonprofit leader told us, even an unpaid balance of $250, quote, can be an incredible burden, end quote, that derails working adults from returning to college. To help thousands more New Yorkers take advantage of Reconnect, we recommend launching a CUNY Fresh Start initiative to clear unpaid balances of at least $1,000 for students who started but have not completed their degree. Fresh Start would build on the success of Reconnect and open the door for thousands more working adults to rejoin CUNY and re-enter the economy stronger. But getting students back is only part of the challenge. Once they return, they need the right supports to persist and succeed. That's why we urge the Council to support the launch of CUNY Flex, a model of wraparound support, including free Metro cards, hands-on advising, and technology access for part-time students. Many adult learners in particular, balancing work and family, simply cannot attend college full-time. And it shows. Just 51% of adult learners who transfer to a CUNY senior college earn a bachelor's degree within 6 years. That's compared to 65% of younger transfer students. Unlike ASAP and ACE, which are only for full-time students, CUNY Flex would meet students where they are. In addition, we encourage support for a free Metro card pilot for CUNY students. Our research has found that transportation costs are one of the biggest non-tuition barriers to college success, especially for the 90% of CUNY community college students who rely on public transit to get to class. By knocking down these barriers, this council can help thousands more New Yorkers enroll in CUNY, complete a credential, and get on the path to economic mobility while building a stronger future for New York. Thanks for the opportunity to testify. Chair Denowitz.
Thank you. But before I ask a couple of questions, I would encourage any nerds out there like me to go to the Center for an Urban Future's website because they do tons of research and have tons of reports, including these financial including reports about these financial barriers, but not just about CUNY, about, I read one about housing and, keeping more families in New York City, which is, something important to me as well.
Well, thanks, Chair. I mean, if I may plug, nycfuture.org. If anybody's interested, everything we ever publish is there and free for all. So
That's great. So thank you, and thank you for your work. I want to ask, during the testimony, CUNY gave numbers that said about 8.7 million people, 8.7 million people. I'm sorry, 8.7 thousand students current students have balances of $2,000 or less. And so at most that would be like $17.4 million. You cite $1,000 as this sort of threshold of like, if it's less than $1,000, let's relieve that pressure on the students. Do you have a cost estimate for that?
No, we weren't sure. In fact, we did ask CUNY for that data. We weren't able to get it in time for publication of our report. So I think CUNY's in the best position to provide those estimates. We heard quite a lot from advisors, both at CUNY colleges and nonprofit CBO partners, about many examples of specific students who stopped out owing about $1,000 or a little less, as you actually just heard on that first panel. But certainly with additional funding, the city could help more students. So, I was certainly struck by that. 8,200, I believe, Vice Chancellor Sarmiento said that owe 2,000 or less. Certainly we heard examples of thousands of students anecdotally that owe around 1,000 or less. But to get those exact figures, they would have to come from CUNY.
I just looked up 8.2 thousand, and they said 2,000 or less, so that's 16.4 million. But that's, again, just for those students that owe 2,000 or less. Again, with your numbers, or once they get us more data, numbers obviously less, because it's 2,000 or less.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Reminds me of when I taught inequalities in algebra class. This would have been a great one for them. And then you also cite free MetroCard pilot for CUNY students. Can you talk more about what you're proposing when you mean a pilot program?
Yeah, thanks for that, Chair. So, I would say our recommendation, I think, would very much align with what I heard from Vice Chancellor Sarmiento, which is focusing on those students that are Pell eligible, low-income students who aren't already served by a program that offers a MetroCard today. I think that is the right target. Many of those students, but certainly not all of them, are enrolled in community colleges. Many of them are part-time students. Many of them are adult learners. I mentioned the pilot only because I did see in the council's response budget this idea of funding specifically for a pilot just for MetroCards. And I would just echo, certainly I would say that's a fantastic idea. Our research has shown time and again that a MetroCard is a significant financial burden that derails students from completion. But I would add that, to echo our colleagues at CUNY, that enrolling in a program like Fair Fares has shown to be a pretty challenging barrier. Our recommendation has always been that the MetroCard would be directly allocated through CUNY so that students could get it more quickly, so that there's as little of a hoop to jump through as possible. I mentioned a pilot because I certainly believe that that's a starting point that would help, but I think the maximum benefit absolutely would be a program targeted to low-income students that would serve everybody that isn't in one of those specialized programs today.
Yeah, earlier I was joking about tokens. Kids don't know what tokens are. And you know what? In like 10 years, we're going to still be saying MetroCards.
Omni,
everyone's
of
gonna
course.
say, what the heck are you talking about? What's a MetroCard? We're doing
Absolutely.
Omni.
It would be, yes, it would be an Omni card would be the way to go.
You old person. And then, have you calculated any numbers, saying for the Pell Grant recipients, minus the number of students who are in ASAP, minus the number of students who are in Reconnect or some other program, have you sort of calculated what the cost would kind of look like, what the investment cost would look like for that?
Right. I'd have to get back to you about that. I believe we calculated that figure for all the community college students. For the full university, we'd have to get back to you about that.
Right. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to your testimony today, or any other important details from your report that you'd like to share?
Well, I guess one to add, I know this wasn't the focus of today's hearing, but I do think that the council, getting behind this idea of CUNY Flex is incredibly important. And just to underscore what we're talking about there, CUNY enrolls about 79,000 part-time students. That's a huge population. And most of CUNY's adult learners, students over 25, are enrolled part-time. So when we published our report last fall that looked at the specific and kind of disproportionate challenges that those adult learners are facing, and by the way, 41,000 undergrads at CUNY are over the age of 25. So that's more than the entire student body, for instance, at Columbia and NYU combined. We're talking about a significant share of those students who can't access the leading national models that we have in place today in CUNY ASAP and CUNY ACE, because understandably those programs were designed for full-time students. And I get it, the full-time enrollment is correlated with better outcomes, but what our research showed so clearly was that so many of those adult learners in particular, who are more likely to be among the CUNY students who are parents, who are full-time caregivers for older adults, for many of those students, full-time enrollment just isn't possible. So I just wanted to underscore that as effective and successful as ASAP and ACE have been, there's a real need to help more of those part-time learners as well. And that's why we thought the idea of a CUNY Flex program that would take these evidence-based supports that we know work, as you mentioned earlier, and help more of those 79,000 students access them too, would be a significant boost for what we know already works.
Yeah, of course, the very students who would need to work, right, like have to work and have no other, they don't have access to the very program that's designed for the very students who need that support. So the same with part-time TAP, which we had discussed at hearing previously, and now part-time ASAP for part-time students, are really critical components to supporting, in very many cases, the students who need the most help, which is what we should be doing at CUNY. Mr. Dvorkin, I want to thank you, again for testifying today, and of course for all of the research Center for an Urban Future does, and all of the support and help that it provides for us in the council for important policy decisions we make.
Thank you so much, Chair Denowitz. It's
Thank
really
you.
an honor. Thank you.
For the next panel, we have Heather James, Akeem Pollock, Daniel Redden, Anglo Melnick, and if we do have a child care program here.
Oh, he would love that. He would love that. That will make your video so cute as well. I do apologize for the...
Never apologize for your child. No, never apologize for your child.
Here you go.
Oh, he gets his own chair. Alexander, can you please raise your right hand? I'm sorry, Sergeant, we have a hostile witness. All right, so, Alex, I'll tell you what, you can testify whenever you want. But Heather, Ms. James, we'll start with you. Please state your name for the record, and you may begin your testimony.
Hello, my name is Heather James. Thank you so much for having me. This is Alexander. I am here representing the PSC CUNY, which is the Faculty Staff Union of the City University of New York. I'm our legislative representative, and I'm representing my home campus of Borough of Manhattan Community College, proudly nearby City Hall. And unfortunately, my students did have to leave to work. As we were just saying, many of our students do work. But I wanted to share a little bit of what their testimony would have been, which will also be written testimony later. You all know that I am very supportive as a faculty member and union member of free MetroCards Omni. So I'm happy to hear some of these questions. And Chairman Dinowitz, really appreciate all of your advocacy and appreciate you asking the Center for an Urban Future for that number on how much it would cost to do the rest of the students at our community colleges. I would love to have that number as well, and really appreciate the council putting a MetroCard named pilot into their budget letter, something we would love to see. And my students certainly talk to me about that all the time, right? One actually plays the saxophone sometimes at Fulton Street in order to get to campus. So that's how she pays for the rides, and that is a true story. But the other thing I want to share was from my student who left, and what he told me was this is the 4th college that he's been to, BMCC, and one of the reasons why he's been to so many colleges is because he lost a financial aid package at one and then couldn't pay for the semester. So, yes. So instead of trying to return to that campus because they wouldn't let him go back, right, without paying the bill, he just decided to enroll at a different college. And ultimately came to BMCC. And this can really start a pernicious cycle for, our students.
You can finish your last thought, please.
I apologize.
Yes.
Who do want to continue. They can't always get the credits transferred, and it creates quite a mess. So really appreciate what you're trying to do here.
Thank you. And I do want to remind, before we continue, members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. You're doing a great job. Don't worry. But members of the public shall remain silent at all times, and the witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify and their children. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, removing small financial barriers for CUNY students. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. And now we will continue the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Dinowitz, and it's a pleasure to be here again in front of you, in front of the Higher Education Committee, in front of the supporters of CUNY here today. My name is Daniel Redden. I have the honor of serving as the chairperson of the University Student Senate and as a student trustee at CUNY. Today I stand before you representing over 245,000 CUNY students across our 25 campuses, and students who are unwavering in their pursuit of higher education despite numerous challenges. We are living through unprecedented times. I'm part of a generation of young people who are struggling to afford housing, food, education, transportation, in short. I'm also surrounded by young people who are just struggling to live. On top of that, higher education has been besieged by budget cuts at the state and federal levels for some time. And we all see the pace at which things are changing and accelerating. We see how quickly things can change in 100 days. I know that it's difficult to ignore all the noise coming from outside New York City. I'm not suggesting that we just downplay the seriousness of our national struggles, but I'm suggesting that we remember something that I heard many legislators say, which is that all politics is local, or think globally and act. And so in spirit of that old and sage, to ask that we do more to support our students, because if we all lift together, the load gets lighter. In recent years, CUNY has made great strides in addressing students' needs as the level of need continues to rise. Every campus hosts a food pantry. In 2024 alone, those food pantries saw over 200,000 visits. We have resource centers, which remain a critical touch point for emergency support. And we also have open educational resources that have grown, which allows students to access zero-cost course materials since day one of classes. But over the past couple of years, the University Student Senate has taken the lead in advocating for free public transportation for CUNY students. We recognize that you cannot begin to learn until you arrive at a CUNY campus. This is part of our much wider advocacy to fully fund the educational experience in CUNY, and providing free MetroCards to CUNY students would remove a quiet but persistent barrier to college completion. Thank you for your continued support for CUNY students.
Thank you.
All right, hello, good day, everyone. I'm Akeem Polak. I'm the Vice Chair for Legislative Affairs for the University Student Senate, where we represent over 245,000 CUNY students. I just want to make some clarifications before I start, starting with the fact that CUNY made the comment that they don't have the numbers. Well, we do. We have shared this for over a year. We have all the numbers surrounding the pilot program, the groups, the funding attached that would be necessary, as well as we've heard the arguments about fair fares, and we push back on that, saying that we believe that we want full access, not half the access. This hearing is about removing financial barriers, not half of a barrier, and that's what we're pushing for. So we considered all of that as well, and we have petitions. We have the numbers. We started a petition in February when we went down to the caucus. We have over 5,000 students who signed on. We went back to Somos. We had a lot of students who stopped by and signed up for more updates. That's why it was included in the people's budget to fund free Metro cards for all CUNY students. So we have the numbers, and CUNY definitely, they can meet with us, and we meet with them. But just continuing, I reviewed the report from the Center of Urban Future, and it was concerning a lot of things such as non-tuition expenses like free Metro cards, textbooks, and other barriers such as childcare that a member mentioned. I suspect that everyone understands and is not surprised by the findings, and the rising cost of living functions as a barrier to higher education. And at the top of that list, it's transportation. We as students, we definitely want to get to class, we want to get to our internships, we want to support our families, and a free Metro card or Omni card is just as important. And we added other things like open educational resources such as textbooks. Textbooks is a very expensive thing, and if I could just finish on that note, just last week alone, I have to pay $200 to do homework from a textbook because you have unique codes, and I will never use these textbooks ever again for this for future semesters. But this just shows you what we have to go through when we're trying to fund our lifestyle. We're trying to finish this degree. So textbooks, free Metro cards, we're all for it, and we have the numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you please share those numbers. Can you just talk a little bit? I assume you have friends who have unpaid balances. Have they got, or maybe you do, I don't know, have you spoken to your friends about this particular issue?
Unpaid balances?
Unpaid balances, yeah.
Oh, like school fees,
yeah,
tuition? Yeah, I know a lot. I go to York College. It's a predominantly black and brown school. And a lot of them, they're struggling. A lot of them sit out classes because they need to go to work. So they skip like every other class so they can make the money in time to pay before the end of the semester so they can start choosing classes. Because you start choosing your classes mid-semester for the next semester. And a lot of them haven't chosen. I'm even one of them. I haven't chosen my classes for next semester yet because I need to clear the balances and you have to work and everything. So it's really something that is so common more than you think.
Have you or your friends ever been closed out of a class because you would have applied, mm-hmm. and you had to pay your balance? Mm-hmm. By the time you paid your balance, the class was full. Does that ever happen?
Many times. Come on, Chair. That's my story. Every semester at CUNY, that's literally my life, where you're closed out because you selected in the cart, but you can't enroll until you clear the balance. And then, sometimes the best thing is when they cancel the classes randomly because, under enrollment, and you're just in the week before school, you're just trying to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of the semester. Some persons have to do an extra semester, do an extra year. I know people personally at my school and across the CUNY system who they're going through that now. They have to do an extra year because they weren't able to enroll in time for their classes or the classes got canceled.
So just like to paint a picture, even for the students mm-hmm. who do pay their unpaid balances or end up paying the unpaid balances. So even for these students who can enroll for the next semester are often left at a disadvantage either because they can't enroll in the classes they want to, or in the long run have to spend more money because they have to stay an extra semester or two because the unpaid balances prevented them from enrolling in the right class. Is that an accurate and fair statement?
That is very true because, if if they don't have enough students, they have to cancel the class overall, especially in some cases, major classes that you need for your major. They end up canceling it overall for students because they never met the threshold needed.
So unpaid balances, so we heard testified 13,687 students who had unpaid balances didn't re-enroll. But it seems that it's impacting these unpaid balances significantly more students, and it's impacting them beyond just not re-enrolling. It's impacting their ability to take the right classes, and it's impacting their ability to graduate on time.
And even to get to school, because they need free Metro cards. Yes.
Right, well, yes, to get to school in the first place.
Yeah. There's a silent epidemic going on, right? And it's financial. We have people in general, not just students, just everyone is hurting. They can't put their hands on $1,000 if there's an unexpected expense, right? And so this is compounded when you have to strive towards a degree, and in an institution that, there could be more support, right? And it's exasperated, so to speak. Absolutely.
Thank you. I want to correct you for one sec. You said it's a silent epidemic. The reason this topic of free Metro cards is included in today's hearing is because of your unwavering advocacy for this issue. And so I want to make sure you know, you may feel something is a silent epidemic, but we in the City Council hear you. And that's why we are advocating for the Metro cards and removal of other financial barriers. And this hearing is happening and that topic is here because of your advocacy. So I want to thank you for your advocacy. It is not a silent epidemic, and we hear you. So thank you for your testimony today, and thank you for your continued advocacy.
And I wanted to just express thank you as well for actually adding this to the committee. I know you've seen us many times and coming before us, you've made comments about it. It could be voter awareness, and we are mentioning Metro cards. So we love that it's a top priority for this council right now.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it's just a testament to your unwavering support for CUNY and CUNY students in general, and we really appreciate that. We're advocating, but it also takes a person to hear and listen as well. So thank you, Chair Dinowitz.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna give him this. And if it's okay with you, can we give the Sergeant at Arms to give you this? These are the numbers that we have.
Yes, of course, yes. And you can submit, I believe you can submit that electronically as well for official testimony on the record.
Definitely, thank you.
Okay, thank you both again.
Thank you. Great job.
Okay. Our last panel will consist of Sharon Brown and of Sean Miller.
Hello.
And in addition, we have Lisa Nishimura. Good. All right, we'll start with Mr. Miller.
There we go. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for holding this hearing. Chair Dinowitz, also Councilwoman Brewer, I believe, was here earlier.
Councilwoman Marte was here as well.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you. So I'm Sean Miller. I'm Northeast Regional Director of Young Invincibles. We're a national nonprofit that works to uplift young adults. We have lots of CUNY students in our Young Advocates program. And we also organize and lead the New York Post-Secondary Basic Needs Coalition, organizing across New York State on issues related to basic needs, especially food, housing, and security, and anything non-academic that prevents students from being able to matriculate and complete their degree. I'm here to express our support and thanks for investing further in free CUNY Metro cards and fair fares and Reconnect and Fresh Start. These are really life-saving programs that we hear from students all the time make the difference in whether or not they're able to complete their degree. And we want to advocate for more funding for these programs because we know that while they are incredible, there's a number of students that, there's a large number of students that don't know about these programs, right? One of the main issues that we see and hear from students all the time is that they find out about them late, right? Or that they fall just outside of the eligibility criteria, especially once they start earning enough money. Sometimes there's a cliff where they fall off and no longer qualify. And so we wanted to be able to expand things like free Metro cards in particular. There's a really pertinent piece of advocacy from one of our students in our blog, which I'll share and submit later to the record, who mentioned that he's a senior at Baruch and just found out about fair fares this year, and we need to do a better job of educating students about these wonderful opportunities and expanding single point of entry programs like Medgar Evers College Transition Academy.
Thank you. Miss Nishimura?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. So good afternoon. My name is Lisa Nishimura, and I am the New York Engagement Coordinator at Young Invincible, so I work directly with John. I want to thank the New York City Council, especially the Committee on Higher Education, for the opportunity to testify at today's hearing. Oh, sorry.
I want to read the rules again. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
It's okay. I'm here today to share my support for ensuring that all CUNY students have access to higher education and for eliminating financial barriers that may hinder their pursuit of it. First off, I'm a proud CUNY alum, class of 2020, and although I am a bit removed given how much time has passed, I still work with the majority of our base who are current or recent CUNY students. To this day, I hear similar sentiments of ways in which CUNY is still inaccessible to students, especially to those it's supposed to serve, low-income young adults of color. There are hidden costs aside from tuition that students attending higher ed institutions still have to bear, from the cost of traveling to their campus to purchasing textbooks for their classes, like Akeem had mentioned earlier. While programs such as ACE or ASAP help to lift the burden of these costs, and I have witnessed folks from our organization greatly benefit from them, there are still significant gaps of students who are not eligible or who are not aware of the existence of these programs. I was actually one of those students who had financial needs, yet I was not eligible for ACE at the time because I was an entering freshman and I was a part of the honors program. I heard now that they don't have that criteria anymore, so honors program students can still apply. However, have I had been eligible and accepted into the ACE program, it would have been a huge relief for me as I had to pay for school out of pocket and was also struggling with my basic needs, including affording monthly Metro cards, which I needed to travel to and from campus to work and back home. For me, those gaps were filled through the accessibility of programs like Single Stop, which allowed me to focus on my education rather than worry about how I would get to my classes or how I would gain the energy to focus due to food rationing. Even though this was almost half a decade ago, the same challenges I face still linger among current CUNY students who have expressed similar struggles. For example, a student who is studying biology at their CUNY campus stated that as an adult student who cannot rely on parental or familial support, wrote about how it would, let me finish this paragraph because it's important. Who cannot rely on parental familial support wrote about how their major was so demanding with little to no room for a part-time job that it forced them to, quote unquote, this is a quote, skip meals or eat smaller portions to stretch their limited budget for other necessities like textbooks and transportation. And then likewise, another student wrote about jumping the turnstile because they do not have a well-paying job to cover those costs. Again, there should be no reason why students have to make sacrifices between their essential needs and their education. In particular, no student should have to risk their life to ride a train to study in pursuit of a degree.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown.
Hello, my name is Sharon Brown. Before I begin, remember Israel, release the hostages, let Yahweh's people go, defend Israel. Okay, CUNY should make the unlimited MetroCard Omni cards available, and also unlimited cell phone data, text, and free textbooks until they can pay before leaving college, or it's free or something, because some students have a problem with finances, financial aid, and also getting the proper textbooks. So they're failing classes because they can't afford the textbooks. And that's a part of the reason why they're leaving. The filing fees, of course, should be made free, and people applying versus people who have money are able to get into the school. So people who are qualified can't get in because they can't afford the filing fee. So the filing fee should be waived. Student housing and all fees should be taken care of for them once they have enrolled. If they are having problem with their housing, that also needs to be covered too, so that they don't leave school. And paying off balances, they should do something for them to make sure that they can stay in school regardless of their balances, as it was stated. And it should be mandated, just like in public schools and things like that, that the students in college and university should have meals every meal. They need to check with the students to make sure that they're eating properly. If they are not eating properly, whatever food that they have on campus, it should be available to them. That should also be something free. A lot of students are failing because they can't think straight. They're not eating properly. It's very serious, and it's a big issue about students not being able to eat. So that's something that can be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I'd like to thank this panel for their testimony, and of course, anything additional you could submit in writing. That is it for the public in-person testimony. We will now move to remote testimony. If you are testifying remotely, please listen for your name to be called. Once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you. You may then start your testimony once the Sergeant-at-Arms sets the clock and cues you to begin. Our first witness online is Christopher Leon Johnson.
You may begin.
You unmute me? Yeah. Hello. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. Thank you, Chair Dinowitz, for having this hearing today about small financial barriers and students. Let me keep it real, right? I think that CUNY should be for free. CUNY need to be for free for everybody. CUNY shouldn't be just for free, just for the people that are going to come out and vote in masses for you elected officials. I see this was going on here where they say CUNY is free. CUNY is free. All these colleges want to be free, but they only do it to appease the people that is going to vote for them on election day. And that shouldn't be the case. If y'all care about making CUNY for free and doing the right thing for students, you should not only make CUNY free, give all FAFSA money to the students, make all school books cheap, or hell, give them for free. Give all school books for free. Why we gotta pay $100 for a book that nobody reads? Or you gotta rent a book for $98? This is kind of stupid. I had a free book, free books, free tech, free Metro cards. It should be free for everybody, not just for the voter blocks. And one more thing, we need to stop all anti-Semitism in the schools. We need to ban Nurdin Quasani from all CUNY institutions. We need to ban Nurdin Quasani from all CUNY institutions. We need to make a bill in the city council starring you, Mr. Dinowitz, and Mrs. Dunning, to make a bill to ban Nurdin Quasani from all CUNY institutions. The reason we have anti-Semitism in CUNY is because of that woman called Nurdin Quasani. So, like I said, we need to ban anti-Semitism in all schools. At the same time, we need to ban Nurdin Quasani from all CUNY institutions. Put a restraining order on her. Order of protection. Get some lawyers. Order of protection on Nurdin Quasani because she's the reason anti-Semitism is where is that at these schools, man.
Thank you, Christopher. Your time has expired.
Wait, before that, shout out
Thank you
my
so much, Mr. Leon Johnson. Thank you so much.
Let's go.
Thank
Later.
you so much for your testimony today at today's hearing. Okay. If there's anyone else present in the room who has not had the opportunity to testify but wishes to do so, please raise your hand. Seeing no one else who wishes to testify, I just want to thank CUNY, all of the students, the student advocates, and everyone who testified today. I mean, it's pretty clear that for a small investment in our students, as is so often the case, we can get really incredible returns. From the 13,687 students who drop out due to owing a small amounts of money, to the other students who may not be able to apply for classes, to the issue of OmniCards, which students have been coming to this committee to testify about for as far back as I can remember, to fee waivers, which we know increase the number of students who apply for CUNY in the first place. Removing these financial barriers is the right thing to do, both for our students and for their pocketbooks, and for the future investment and economy of New York City. And with that, I wish to adjourn this hearing. Thank you.